started here. So let's just start with some basic stuff here. Let's say that x is less than 3, and I'm gonna write out what this x is less than 3. So you've got to know what this symbol means. You've got to, like, it's like yet another thing to remember. Less than points to the left. You can either think of how it points or which way the I don't know, the other end opens. You have to come up with something that you feel like works well for you to remember this. Okay. Now in terms of a number line here, okay, a lot of students like to put 0 in the middle. It really isn't necessary. Let's just say 3 is right there. You want to put an open circle in that position. Okay, it's not filled in, and you're shading everything to the left of it. And the direction that it points in tells you this.
Okay.
Because so it looks like you're going to do some graphing and some other things, but we've got to make sure this is down next. Now let's say I write this: x less than or equal to -1. So x is less than or equal to -1. So this symbol, first one is less than, this one is less than or equal to.
Okay.
So again, in terms of your number line, you just go right to that point. Now they usually put 0 in the middle. Really, it doesn't matter. We'll get to that. Because it's less than or equal to, this time it's filled in at that point. So filled in dot bubble, and then you're shading everything to the left of that, everything to the left of that. Okay, now the next two that we need to know about would be something like this: x greater than 4, x is greater than 4. So this symbol here means greater than. And then on a number line, whenever it's a less than or a greater than, you do not fill in the bubble. But at this time, it's pointing to the right. Hopefully you agree with that. You see that it's pointing to the right, so we shade everything to the right. Yes. And I feel like this is kind of intuitive because it points in the direction you shade. There's no like disconnects between what seems sort of intuitive. And then the last one here, we'll do something like x greater than or equal to -2. X is greater than or equal to -2. And again, in terms of your number line, you go to wherever -2 is, you fill in that bubble, and then you shade everything to the right of it. And that's it. There's only 4 of them. There's only 4, which means, you know, we got a chance here that like we can actually like figure this out. And you know, we'll just look at some problems and see if we can come up with a way to do this. So I'm just going to snip in a question here and we'll work it out together. Okay, so the instructions say, they say to match with the inequality, you want to solve this inequality. Now, if you're in a traditional classroom, they might tell you to just write it as an equal to 17 for now and solve it like that. And this works for a lot of problems. But you have to know in what order to undo order of operations. Okay, so you go this way when you're simplifying, but we're now solving, so you have to go back the other way. Okay, and the reason I bring that up is because right now you have to decide, do I undo subtraction, multiplication, or the parentheses? And you start from right to left when you're solving. So it's like you get rid of addition and subtraction first. So how do you undo subtraction by 8?
Adding 8.
You add 8 to both sides. You're gonna plus 8 plus 8. 5 times x plus 3 equals 25. from here, you have a choice. You can either distribute the 5 into both, or you can divide both sides by 5. Which do you think you would do?
Divide both sides by 5.
Okay, I like it. The reason I like it, and you should too, is because 25 is divisible by 5. So that works out really nicely. And then our last step here, we can drop the parentheses. How do we undo this addition by 3?
Subtract 3.
Subtract 3. So now x is equal to 2, but we didn't have an equality to start. So we have to go back to our original problem and look at what it is. It's a less than. So really the answer is x less than 2. So this is our answer. Now, in terms of a number line, there's 2. Is it an open bubble or a filled in bubble? Which one is it?
Open
It's open. And are you shading to the left or to the right?
to the right.
Which way does this arrow point?
Left.
Yes, it's to the left. That's the way the arrow points. So it's possible you did all of these right, but you didn't know which way to shade. I can only speculate, but we'll just keep doing some problems here until you get comfortable with it. All right, so let's do another problem here. This one's a little bit easier than the previous one. All right, so it says 3 times the quantity x plus 10 less than or equal to 24. The less than or equal to means that it's going to be a filled in bubble. And if you need to, you can always start the problem like that. You can say, all right, it's a filled in bubble. I'll go with that. What should you do first to undo? There's multiplication right here, and then there's parentheses. And you're going backwards. You're going this direction. So which do you undo first? Addition and subtraction, or multiplication, division, or parentheses? And you want to undo multiplication, division before parentheses.
Okay.
So what do you do to undo that 3? What is the undoing of
multiplication?
It's multiplication. So how do you undo it?
Oh, division.
Division. You're going to divide both sides by 3. What is the value on the right-hand side? What is 24 divided by? What is 24 divided by 3? The fraction bar means division.
8.
8. On the left, it's just x plus 10.
So you subtract 10 from
Yes. Yes. I'd like you to give me the value on the right-hand side.
right-hand side.
What is 8 minus 10? We used a push up.
-2.
-2. Good. Now, in terms of graphing it, you draw a number line. If you want to, you can label the 0. It doesn't really matter for what we're doing. It's a filled in bubble. And then again, you have to decide, am I shading on the left or am I shading on the right?
The left.
The left, because it's pointing to the left. Good. Okay. Any questions on what we've done for the first 2 problems?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Now there's a really important rule when you're working on these, and I'm going to write it out here. If you multiply or divide by a negative, here's what happens. If it's less than, it goes to greater than. If it's greater than, it goes to less than. If it's less than or equal to, it goes to greater than or equal to. If it's greater than or equal to, it goes to less than or equal to. In other words, the inequality flips. Did you see that in your lesson notes today?
Yes.
Okay. And it may not have made any sense because it, like, intuitively you're like, why? I mean, why should that matter? I won't get into that, but we are gonna see that in the next question. Okay, so this is really important to remember. If you multiply or divide by a negative, the inequality flips. But it goes from a less than to a greater than, or less than or equal to a greater than or equal to. There's never like a cross mixing of this. So let's see where that comes up in this next question. 4 minus 1/2 x is less than 5. Is the 4 positive or negative?
Negative.
So the operators go to the right.
Positive.
It's positive. It's not written, but it is positive. And we know we're going to undo addition and subtraction before multiplication and division. So how do we undo addition by 4? Subtract 4 from both sides. Now the operator always goes with the thing to the right. So it's negative 1/2 x is less than 1.
Okay.
See, we undid the addition by 4. We subtracted 4. How do you undo what's here? This is negative 1/2 times x. Would you multiply or divide?
Divide.
So you probably want to divide by negative 1/2. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and that is correct. It's kind of awkward though, because you're dividing by a fraction, but it is okay. Did we multiply or divide by a negative here?
Yes.
Yes. So whenever you do that, you have to flip the inequality, and you want to do that immediately. You don't want to wait to do that because you'll forget. And that it's really important that you do that because it completely changes the answer. What is 1 divided by negative 1/2? So this is a little bit awkward here. You've got a whole number, you're dividing by a fraction. In a previous course, you probably learned that when you're dividing by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Do you remember that from those words, multiplying by reciprocal?
I think so.
Okay. We may not do this for future problems, but it's okay here. So when you're multiplying these fractions, now it's 1 times negative 2 over 1 times 1, which is 1. So x is greater than negative 2 divided by 1 or negative 2.
Negative 2.
Yeah, negative 2. So in terms of your number line, this is the most important thing. In terms of your number line, you go to negative 2. Is it an open or a closed bubble?
Open.
Open. And now are you shading to the left or to the right?
The right.
To the right. Good. All right. Any questions on that one?
No.
Okay. Okay, so this problem has a 3 plus 5x greater than or equal to 7 plus 3x. And my question to you is, do you recall whether you should move the 3x to the left or the 5x to the right? Do you remember that at all?
I think so.
So what I always tell students is you move the smaller to the larger.
Okay. 3x to the 5x.
So you're going to subtract 3x from both sides because 3x is smaller than 5x. And that gives you 3 plus 2x greater than or equal to 7. And you should always ask yourself, did I multiply or divide by a negative? Because that will change the inequality, and you did not. Okay. So what do you have here? Is the 3 positive or negative?
Positive.
It's positive because of the plus in front that's not written. It has nothing to do with this on the right. You undo addition and subtraction before multiplication and division. So what will you do first here?
Subtract 3 from 2 and 3. 7.
Just from the 7. You're not subtracting from the 2x.
Okay.
7 minus 3 is 4. Now what are you going to do to solve for x?
Divide
Yes, what are you going to divide by?
2.
2. Both sides by 2. Is 2 negative?
No.
No, so there's no change to the inequality.
So it's 2.
2. Okay, now you go and graph a number line. You go find 2 on that number line, and you decide, is it solid or filled in? This one is solid. And is it shaded left or right? It depends on the way the arrow is pointing. This time it's everything to the right. All right, now unfortunately there's not much to do to make this more interesting. We're going to do at least one more problem before switching to a new topic potentially, but this is just pure, like you're just doing it. There's, that's the best we can do. So this is a different problem than you've seen, but it's still an inequality. Okay. Any idea what you might do first to solve for this?
Add 12 to 25.
You were correct when you were about to say divide. What should you divide both sides by?
12. No.
2. So you're going to divide both sides by 2. You did that in an earlier problem. It was reasonable. So that's 6 is less than 25 minus x. Is the 25 positive or negative?
Positive.
It's positive. You undo addition and subtraction before multiplication and division. How do you undo 25? What's the math operation?
Division.
It's adding though. Adding
Oh.
goes with subtraction.
That's
Subtraction is, you're going to subtract 25 from both sides. So what number goes here on the left? Six minus 25.
18.
It's got to be negative.
Oh, negative 18.
It's not 18 though. It's not negative 18. It's close. It's got to be negative though for sure.
Okay.
One more try on that. Okay, negative 19. All right, now on the right is x by itself.
Yes. No.
No, it's not. There's this negative in front. And sometimes it's good to actually write the -1 there, especially if you aren't sure or might not remember. So to undo -1 in front, what should you divide by? It's always the number that's in front.
1.
-1.
Here.
-1 is what's in front. Now, are you multiplying or dividing by a negative? Is that negative?
Yes.
Yes. So when it's negative, you flip the inequality. When it's negative, you flip the inequality. If you take away only one thing from today's lesson, it has to be that. You flip the inequality.
Okay.
Now on the left, what is negative 19 minus 1?
19 minus 1. Negative 20.
You're dividing. You're
Oh,
dividing, so just changes the sign.
20. Positive.
It is positive, but 19 divided by 1 says how many times does 1 go into 19? And it's 19 times. 19 times there. Okay, so in the time we have left, I want us to work on some more of these, but I want to choose some simpler inequalities to work on. Now, what we did was your workbook 13.2, I want to say. I don't know if you have another attempt, but you now have all the answers to that if you need it. But let's keep working on this, because that's what's more important here, is that you get solid at doing inequalities. So give me just a moment. I'm just pulling up one of my worksheets so that we can do it together here. Let's go. All right, let's go. 60 less than minus 5x minus 10. Okay, so when you look at this problem, you want to decide, what are you going to undo first to get x by itself? And there's a -5 multiplying x and a 10 that's subtracted. What do you always get rid of first?
Position subtract.
Yes.
So you add to them. 10
So
to?
you're going to add 10, yeah, because you want to get it down to just that one term. The one term is the minus 5x. 70 is less than minus 5x. Now what do you undo?
Multiplication.
The multiplication by -5. You always divide by the same number. What are you going to divide by?
-5.
-5. Are you multiplying or dividing by a negative?
Yes.
Yes. So what happens to this inequality?
It goes great.
Yep, it flips. Okay. Right. Any idea 70 divided by 5, -5?
-14.
-14, good. All right, now let me have you try one on your own. Here, let's go -18 plus 7x greater than or equal to 31. Let's go ahead and try this on your own, please. I'll check back with you in a minute or two. How are you doing on this one?
I think I got the problem. I think I figured it out.
Okay, what is your final answer?
X was it less or equal to?
You got to tell me. Are you asking what this symbol is, or what?
What the symbol on the math problem is?
Okay, this is a greater than or equal to. Greater
Okay.
than or equal to.
It's x greater than or equal to 7.
Okay, and that is correct. You add 18 to both sides, which I'm assuming you did. 7x is greater than or equal to 49. Divide by 7. You do not flip the inequality because you're not multiplying or dividing by a negative. And it's as simple as that. If you remember that, that will save you quite a bit. Okay, let's have you try one more here. Maybe we'll get more than one more, but let's try this one. Let's go minus 13 greater than minus 3x minus 1. Let's give that a try, please.
X greater 4.
Like this.
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1 to both sides, and that gives you negative 12 greater than negative 3x. From here, you're going to divide both sides by negative 3. On the left, this becomes 4, but before that, you're supposed to flip the inequality. And you correctly flipped it, and you correctly actually rewrote it into x greater than 4. Usually, and I didn't want to get into this, but the variable is on the left. It has to be. So you have to be able to flip the equation around like that. All right, well, great job today, Jeremiah. You said you didn't have a lot of energy. I think you did great though for participation and doing some problems, and appreciate getting the chance to work with you. So we'll just pick up here next week and work on some more math stuff, whatever you got coming up.
Okay.
All right, have a great night.
You too.
Bye now.
Bye.